And good morning, everybody. It is a happy Sunday for me. Hope it's a happy Sunday for y'all. We're just sitting here in this portion of the show to let the notifications go out, let everybody know that we are live, and I wait for the clock on the wall to hit that magic 12 noon mark. Of course, I no longer have the Westminster chimes to worry about, so every I no longer have that bong 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 going off in the background. But when we hit that portion of the morning where it magically switches over to afternoon, I can click this button and say, "Morning, y'all. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday so far." Yeah, I know, trying to come up with something to say during that little opening segment when I have the pre-roll graphic up is, sometimes not the best thing in the world, but what can I say? Happy Sunday anyway. Boy, it's been one heck of a week. It's been one heck of a day already today, and just a lot of stuff going on. I'd like to thank everybody for being so patient with me and not having tutorials ready and what have you. I've got one in the works right now that I am working on, so I will have something in the can for next week. It should be a decent tutorial. It's not a topic I've covered before. Well, one of them is, but the other one isn't. So here's hoping you get some value out of it. So before we get going on anything else, let's go ahead and run down the list and see who is joining us today. We have Ice Cream 62 checking in from Italy. Looks like there was a little bit of weather there this morning, but sun is shining and the birds is chirping, so good deal. Let's see, Mr. Mike Mezelik, how you doing? Good to see you out there. Mario Medina checking in. How you doing today? Hope all is well with everybody. Steve Martin from Manchester, UK. I am not going to go for the obvious Steve Martin jokes. I know what it's like to have the same name as a celebrity. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not so great. So we'll keep that to ourselves. Bumps checking in from Carlisle, UK. And Jim Gay down in Tehachapi. Oh boy, Tehachapi, wow. Let's see, Dave Krause. Jeff Rozak in from Edgewater, Florida. Mr. Steve Nealon, the man, the myth, the legend himself, from Harneal Media, sponsor of Mark Lindsay CNC.com, which, yes, I know I have to get in and update. It's been a while. I had somebody contact me asking where my icon went and why my contact us form wasn't working on the website. I checked it. It's working fine, and I'm getting messages. So if you've tried to get a hold of me through the contact us form, it does work. I've sent test messages to myself, and other people are still sending me emails. So try it again. Hobby's Wood Shop. I believe you're in Central Florida right now and not down in beautiful Miami. Miami, for those of you who can speak. Thanks for joining in, Hobby. Jason Pulliam here. Steve Late, also from the UK. Jack Painter says I should have went with wireless electric. You know what? I would be a ready taker if there was such a thing. Let's see. JMJ Love Dance. Jeff from Arizona checking in. Might stay under 100 today. Yes, 99 is under 100. Just barely. It counts. I'm here to tell you. Yesterday was 96. Today is supposed to get up to a high of 88. It's the coolest day of the month so far. But on the other side of that, Thursday we're supposed to be back up to 105. So, what can you say? It's the price you pay. Let's see, Kurt Briegel there in northern Wisconsin. Mr. Steve Thomas. Let's see, Ayal Peleg checking in from Israel. Says, I like that you uploaded a video even just to say there isn't a video. Well, you know. Sometimes I used to do that to my brother. I'd knock on his door at like 1 in the morning, wake him up. Say, I just came over to tell you I can't come over. You know, it's Wade Nash, Mr. Jeff Smith, Dwayne Ruthig checking in from Michigan. William Starkey from Cleveland. Matt Haas, another legend, checking in. Mr. All Things YouTube, Mr. Awesome Wood Things, Mr. Awesome Piano. It just, if it's an awesome, Matt has that site. He has that channel. It's all good. Elmo Fudd, nice name, from the UK. Troy Pritchard, Richard Poulin. Yeah, saying I look like I'm in good shape after all that dirt moving. It will work the weight off of you. I've lost 15 pounds since I've started doing this. Let's see. Jerry Corman. Woody Wan. Jeff from Connecticut. I believe it was Jeff. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I don't like to do that. Mark, greetings. I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name. I don't want to tear it up, and I will. Trust me. Motorsport. What's new? Not a lot, except digging. Bob Lee, who turned a gorgeous little bowl. Well, not a bowl. What would you call it? An enclosed vessel. A hollow form vessel on his channel. Excellent work. Let's see. Jim Bashirs, Michael Johnston from Scotland, Peter Creel checking in. Where did it go? It jumped all of a sudden from South Africa. Holy cow. And now we've got Jonathan W. finishing up with that Komatsu skid loader. Dude, I absolutely love what you're doing with that thing. Don't let the naysayers tell you otherwise. Let's see. Bob Helt Bridal. And, okay, I think I've all caught up. Troy F. If I missed you, I apologize. There wasn't a whole heck of a lot to talk about video-wise today, other than just run through. We'll kind of consider this a shop shed kind of sort of update. But I also talked a little bit about another project I have going on with some landscaping, and I kind of introduced a new topic into this video, and that is putting down a French drain. We have hard clay here for soil, rocky clay. It's all volcanic out here. And the water just it doesn't absorb. It just runs off. And we've had up to 5 inches of standing water in this yard. And it's just not acceptable. So one of the things I've been planning for a while has been a French drain system, just to run it all off out to the street and into the gutters and let it go down in the storm drain. And that's what I'm doing now. So the last thing you saw in the video was all the trenching that I had to cut. And this is part of 200 feet of trench for French drain that wraps around the corner and goes out that way and heads for the street. And I said, oh boy, I had to clean it out. Well, we're working on it, and this is how it sits today. We've got it about halfway done, and working my way around the corner, and then I've got to come around that corner and head down towards the fence, go under some flower beds, and then start putting in gravel. I had somebody comment on the YouTube video earlier this morning saying, I hope you're going to put gravel in that trench and not backfill it with dirt, or words to that effect. This is 10 yards of granite, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch washed gravel that is going to be the gravel pad for the shop shed and the fill in the trench on the French drain here. And you can see how this is all dug out about 6 inches down. This is going to be a gravel walkway. The swimming pool will move next year. So that's that part of the project. The rest of the project is just cleaning out the electrical trench so I can get the conduit put in, and then call my electrician to come in and help me get everything hooked up. So it's not just a job, it's an adventure, as they say. Ayal is asking, is the pool new? I don't remember seeing it before. No, the pool is not new. It's been there. Some of the pictures I posted were older pictures before I set it up. We've had that for about 5 years. I take it down every winter and put it away and then set it up in the spring, and we use it all summer long. We get temperatures up above 110 Fahrenheit here, and we basically live in that swimming pool. So it's not just a job, it's an adventure. So let me cruise back up to the top and see if there were any questions at all about everything. Ice Cream 62 saying, if you find gold, please share it with us. I have found no gold at all. The only thing I have found with all my trenching activities has been clay, more rocks, and I think 2 tree roots. But that's about it. It's nothing but rock out here. It's awful. But, what can you say? Let's see. Jim Gay wants to know, where in California am I located? I'm not in California. I'm in Southern Oregon. Little town that nobody's ever heard of called Medford on Interstate 5, about 30 miles north of the California-Oregon border. And he also wants to know, do I give classes on vectric in person? Only to my grandkids. There just aren't enough hours in a day to do all of the things that I want to do. And giving classes live, I live in a pretty small town, so it would be basically restricted to people who are here local. And when I say local, just something quick and easy, somebody around here locally convenient. There are a few people out here that I have talked to online, and I've met a couple. And I've gone to their place and looked at their setup, and a couple have come over here. Mr. Bart Bixel came over and spent the morning with me, and I did some cutting for him. And just basically had a good time. But as far as giving classes live in person, I just don't have the time to do that. I've got so much going on, I wouldn't be able to really give any kind of value for that. So, let's see. Kurt Brigel. I know a video of feeds and speeds for chipload was posted this week. Saw you comment you were going to do one. I think you should do your spin on it. Just saying. I have plans to do that, Kurt. A gentleman, Ryan Drapala, over at Cutting It Close, and I'll put a link to his YouTube channel down in the description of this video when as soon as we get finished going live. Let me make a note to myself to do that. He did a video on chip load, and Ryan is one busy son of a gun. He is very good at what he does. And he is a professional. He's doing this for a living. He's doing CNC for a living. He has either 3 or 4 machines. His first machine was a little Laguna IQ. And he is up to, he has, I believe he has a 5x10 table. I know he has a 4x8. But he has a large shop. He has full-time employees that works for him. They create a lot of sales. He's an industrial user. Like I said, his first machine was a Laguna IQ, which has a little bit more capability. It's a little more rigid and a little stiffer than your average home machine, home hobby machine. And it has a price that reflects that. I do plan on doing a feeds and speeds and chip load video for a smaller, lower end machine, because simply put, a lot of home hobby machines, most home hobby machines, in fact, just simply will not run as fast or as deep as how he demonstrated. Now, if you have one of these higher end machines, something from Avid, Cam Master, Laguna, whatever, then I would definitely watch his video on feeds and speeds and how to calculate that. For some of the lower end, more basic machines, I'm going to throw my spin on it. But I was just starting to record that video when I saw he posted it, and I didn't want it to appear that I was jumping on anything he said or disagreeing with him. This is not a competition. So I don't mind waiting a few weeks before recording and then posting my take on feeds and speeds. It's something that I've avoided for 4 years simply because there are so many variables. But now that he's got his video out, I think I'd be comfortable going ahead and chiming in on it. So, I will do it, but it'll be a few weeks. So, let's see. Wolfram Herzog says, can you make a short demonstration of how to draw lines in vcarve with snapping the ends together? I believe I did. Don't quote me on this, but I think I did a video on smart snapping. I just wrote a note to myself, and I will go back and look. I think I already have that video out on my channel. If I do, I'll link it down in the description of this. After we finish live here, give me about 10 minutes and I'll make sure there's a link to it in the description. Excuse me. If it's not there, if I didn't post that video, I will add it to the list of videos to do. So let's see. I hope that answers the question. Jerry Corman wants to know, have you had any experience with Cut 2D Pro? No, I don't. However, it's identical to vcarve and Aspire, with the exception of the 2.5D toolpaths like vcarving. It will do profiles, pockets, drilling, etc., but it's very similar. It just doesn't have as many. It just doesn't have as many options. There are a lot of people that use CNC just for two-dimensional cutting. So if you're just cutting out 2D parts, shapes, and outlines and what have you, you don't need to spend $700 on vcarve Pro, because you're not doing any carving or engraving or anything like that. So Vectric has come out with different levels of software just based on your needs. And but it all uses the same interface. The tools are all located in the same place. So if you know how to run Cut 2D Pro, you can be up to speed in vcarve relatively quickly. And then from there up to Aspire fairly quickly. So but no, I don't have experience with Cut 2D Pro in and of itself, but I do have experience with everything that Cut 2D does, if that's any help at all. Let's see. JMJ Love to Dance. Jeff, I believe. I'm setting up a new Cam Master. How close should I be able to cut a perfect circle or square? I've gotten the machine from a 30 thou difference in X and Y to about 10 thou difference in X and Y. If it's a new Cam Master, I would get on the horn with tech support you should be able to get to within less than a thou. I know the Cam Master is a very good machine, and it's a lot more accurate than that. So I would get on with their support, and they may be able to give you some insight as to what you need to do, what you need to look for. I mean, it could be anything from, I always, always, always check the mechanical first. It could be anything from a loose coupling to just it's not quite calibrated in. It's not dialed in there perfectly yet. But definitely I would talk with them because they know the machine best, and they've been there, done that. So I hope that answers that question, but you should be a lot more accurate than 10,000. Let's see, Jim Gay is, as far as vcarve Pro and Aspire are concerned, what's the difference, or why should I upgrade to Aspire as far as 3D milling? The main difference between vcarve and Aspire is Aspire you can create 3D models and edit them. In vcarve, it's not a 3D modeling program. It never was, and it was never intended to be. In vcarve, you can import one STL file or unlimited numbers of 3D models in the vectric clip art library. In Aspire, you can import as many 3D models as you want. You have a lot more control over editing, and you can create your own. Now, if you don't intend to create your own 3D models, then you probably don't need it. If you don't intend to import more than one model into a project, then you probably don't need it. If you don't want to edit the model, you probably don't need it. They've added a lot of 3D features into vcarve that they never intended to add, but the difference in price between vcarve and Aspire is so huge they realize that there are some things that you do need when you're working with a 3D model that maybe doesn't justify that expensive price. So the upgrade to Aspire is kind of a personal thing. If you don't need to edit 3D models or create your own, you probably don't need it. But if it's something that you want to get into, then yeah, I would seriously think about it. Okay, Ice Cream 62 wants to know, in the future, do you plan to use some sort of vacuum system to fix the pieces of wood to the spoil board? I haven't really thought about that seriously. I might make some vacuum pods, but I'm not into heavy production. If you're going to be doing production work, then a vacuum table is really a benefit. But for me as a home hobbyist, it would kind of be overkill. It would be kind of like a plywood loader or something like that. Not something that I really use. But if you're in production, it would be really sweet to have. So I might make some small vacuum pods if I find that I'm doing a lot of the same thing over and over again, like the same size material. A little jig or fixture to hold a certain size piece. But right now I don't have any plans for it. But I wouldn't be opposed to working with it. So, or opposed to looking into it. So let's see here what we've got going on. James 24/7. Recently found your channel. Really loving the tutorials. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with everyone. Well, thank you very much, James. I basically started this to... two reasons I started doing the tutorial videos. Number one was 100% selfish. And that was because I can't remember everything. And by shooting a video of how I did something that I do once in a blue moon, I can go back and watch that video and remember how I did it. So it was 100% selfish. But then I also noticed that in some of the CNC groups I'm on in Facebook, a lot of the same questions were being asked over and over again. So I figured it's easier to post a link to a video than it is to try to type out directions in text. So I started making little videos to answer specific questions from people, and it just kind of exploded from there. So, what can I say? None of this was ever planned. I just kind of, started posting videos, and folks said, "Hey, I like this. Can you do a video on this?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, sure." So, thank you for that question, though, by the way. Mike Mezelik says he has a Cam Master and he agrees with Mark. Okay. I don't know anything about Cam Master's support. The only thing I know about Cam Master is they're a very good machine, and my CNC guru Dave Gatton actually designed some of the parts on the Cam Master when back in his former life as a sheet metal guy. He that was his job, was to draw 3D parts in SolidWorks and then generate the G code for the guys out on the floor to do. So that's his background. And some of the Cam Master, he is the one who designed it. So let's see. Our Linda Lindsay popped in. What are you doing sneaking in here? I thought you were out watering your flower bed. This is the source of some of this work, not all of it. My wife. Thank you. Let's see. RB Woodwork wants to know, is there a way to edit the angle of multiple stars at one time? That's not something I've even looked into. I would have to check it out. I don't think so. I really don't. But I will look into it. So the answer to that is, I don't know. I'll have to find out. But I don't think so. I think you have to edit one and then do a array copy. But if you're talking about for like an American flag or something like that, no, I don't think that there is a way you can edit the angle of those stars multiples all at once. But I'll check into it. Never say never. So I'll just say right now, I don't know. Let's see. Kurt Briegel says, I think you did a video on taking a bitmap of an object, then tracing it for use in Aspire/vcarve. I cannot for the life of me find it. I have a wonky shape to do. I've done a couple of bitmap trace videos. I will go back. Yes, I did do one using a Volkswagen Bug line drawing. I will go back and link that in the description of this and post that. Let's see. I believe it was, I want to say for some reason it was part 23, but I probably am wrong in that. So anyhow, I will put a link to that down in the description of this video as soon as we're finished live here. So let's see. RB Woodwork, okay, thanks, was afraid of that. I don't know your situation. I don't know what you're trying to do, what the project is, but sometimes it's easier to go ahead and ungroup. Like if you have a field of 50 stars, it's easier to ungroup and then go into one star, do that edit, delete the other stars, and do an array copy to finish that line, and then do an array copy to paste the other lines. So, Ayal Peleg asks, what does it mean to change the angle of a star? Isn't the angle fixes from the fact that it is the star? Let me go ahead and get into Aspire, and I'll show you what he means there, Ayal. When you create a star, we'll go up here to the draw star. It asks you the number of points, where the center point's going to be out here on the material, the outer radius, and then the inner radius percentage. Let's just go ahead and go with whatever's here because it's already there. And we'll create the star. Now, the angle of the star is basically how sharp these points are. Now here in the software, it doesn't really necessarily give you an angle. It gives you an inner radius percentage. So if I adjust this up or down, let's go with 40 degrees and create, you can see, well, I messed that up. Hold on. Control Z, select that and go back into the star. If I change this to, let's go with 45 degrees because the difference wasn't all that dramatic. And I click apply, you see how these points here kind of spread out. Then if I go to 55 and apply that, oops, didn't mean to do that, close. Come on, Mark, you've played with this program before. You see how all of a sudden these angles here change. And when the lower the number you use down here on your inner radius percentage, it changes those angles. And the lower the number you use, the further inward this radius right here is going to be, giving you more dramatic angles from this point to this point. So I believe that's what Jeff was asking. So that's what I'm talking about the angle of the stars. And I believe that's what he was asking about. I hope that made sense. I mean, I kind of lost myself there for a minute. Let me come back over here and find you here. Let's see. Michael Meselik gives great classes for Axiom. I didn't know that you were doing classes for Axiom, Michael. I know I've been kind of following along with you in the various groups and everything, but I didn't know you gave classes. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I.L. Peleg makes a good point. I don't know if that's what you were talking about or if you meant rotate the stars. So, but basically, it looks like, according to Michael, the answer is no. You can't change just one. You have to, or you can't change multiples. You have to change just one. So, for the last 4 years, boy, I've got to get my head out and start opening my eyes and enjoying some of the rest of the world out there. Now, Michael, let me ask you a question. I know the Vectric user group meeting for this year was canceled. Do you have plans on going next year? I know as soon as they open up the reservation window, I plan on going next year. I mean, I crabbed at Vectric for so many years about never doing a user group meeting on the West Coast. They're planning on San Diego. If I don't go to the one in San Diego, oh boy, they would be they would seriously be on my case about not showing up. So, okay, we need to get together. Yes, sir, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And as soon as I can get some free time, I'd like to do that. I really would. So hit me up on Facebook. So, alrighty. I think it's been a half an hour. I've got to get my tail outside and get some more trenching cleaned out so I can get this finished and get these things filled in so I just don't want any accidents, you know, and I'm less concerned about a neighbor's pet or a neighbor's kid getting in there than I am about me tripping over something and falling into the son of a gun. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Next week, what I plan on doing is a video on the 2 different methods of texturing. I have already talked about the texturing toolpath, but I never really got into using the vector texture tools. So I'm going to demonstrate the vector texture tools, and the difference between vector texturing and using the texturing toolpath. So I'm working on that as we speak. I'm doing a couple of demo files, and so that'll be the video for next week. Also, I would like to again talk about a link you'll find at the top of the description of this video, and that's a link to a GoFundMe to help my friend Steve Nealon and his lovely wife Pam try to make ends meet after Steve's recent open heart surgery. If you can click that link, if you can donate, then great. Thank you. I consider it a personal favor. Thank you. If you can't, I understand completely, but please share that link so we can get that GoFundMe in front of as many eyes as we can. And I would greatly appreciate that. So again, that link is down in the description of this video. And I appreciate it. Thank you very much from me to you. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. And I will get the links to the Ryan's YouTube channel, the Smart Snapping video, and the bitmap trace video put in the description of this video just as soon as we get finished going live. Give me about 10 minutes, then click on it and boom. So, again, thank you very much and have a nice Sunday. Thank you for spending part of your Sunday with me. Now go outside, make some chips, go do something cool, whatever it is. Thank you again. Bye, y'all.